Hello, welcome to the Best DevSecOps YouTube channel. Today's session, I'll be talking about policy as code, for informally known as PAC, and auto tagging, tagging your resources automatically in Azure. Now, I want to keep this video short, so the importance of auto tagging and policy as code, I will leave it, skip it, but if you are interested, you can pause and read through this importance as well. Right after that, I want us to look at a case study where we're going to be using the principle of policy as code and auto tagging to address a given scenario. Now, here is the case study. Like I mentioned, I'll summarize it, but then if you're interested, you can pause and read this case study from the beginning to the end. Now, in summary, an engineer has been tasked to apply this specific set of tags to resources that are already existing and don't have these tags, or any resources that they are going to create in the future. We want to have these tags specifically applied to those resources. And these tags are the three main tags that you are seeing on the screen highlighted. Okay, so that is just the primary goal. We are going to automatically create a policy using Terraform. Then when we deploy that policy, anytime a new resource is created without a tag, these tags will be applied to the resources. And if there are existing resources that are already created without a tag, these tags will also be appended to it. So it's auto tagging. That is the primary goal. Just to highlight the objective of this scenario is that at the end of it, we want to be able to automatically apply the required tags to new resources. And when I say required tags, I'm talking about the tags highlighted above. We also want to be able to fix existing resources that are missing tags. So if resources are already deployed and there are no tags, we want to be able to fix it with these tags that are highlighted above. The third thing we want to do is we want to make sure that our tag is written using Terraform, the tagging policy, rather. And so that's what we call policy as a code. So our policy is going to be written using a Terraform configuration. Then the fourth one is that existing resources, we want to be able to give a necessary permission to an identity, a system managed identity that can perform remediation. And remediation here means that if we already have a virtual machine created and there's no tag, there's no way of me tracking cost, there's no way of me tracking ownership, there's no way of me identifying which environment it belongs to because there's no tag. I want to be able to remediate that by writing the necessary tags and appending to the resource. So that's the objective. So like I said, I want to keep the video short. You can pause, then read through this scenario or the case study. So let's get to work. Now here, I'm taking you to my Terraform configuration. Now from the case study, even though I didn't read it, but I highlighted the tags that are required for us to append to any resources that we are going to create in the future and existing ones with these particular tags. So I've already defined the tags in my variable.tf file. Now, when I go to my main.tf file where the main configuration is, the first part from line 9 to 10, I'm fetching the Azure built-in policy definition. So there's a policy called add or replace a tag on Azure, but that is what it does. So we have to fetch that policy and then write the code to customize it to apply the policies that we want on the environment, which is simply the policies that are highlighted in this case study. Right. Back to the configuration from line 14 to line, I think, 35. Here, if you look at the comment on line 18, this is where we are enforcing the tag. So we have variable that is holding our tag. So here we have the variables here, right? So the tag, and we have environment, owner, CostCenter, and in our main configuration, we are looping through all these tags and appending it. So for each, so this is how we loop through Terraform variables that are a list or a map. So for each tag, we want to append it, and we are applying this tag at the subscription level, right? And then we have the data dot Azure policy definition, add or replace a tag. We are fetching the ID of the policy that we are going to use, and then specifying the display name as well as location. Now, the other part of this configuration, two main things I'm going to explain briefly, just to highlight. From line 39 to line 46. Here, we create a system assigned identity as part of our tagging configuration and assign it a role. So a contributor role that gives the identity the right permission to be able to write. So what does that mean? We've defined our tagging policy, we've defined the tags we want to apply, but how does this actually happen? This identity that we create takes this tag and then it has the role, contributor role, and is able to append it or write it to the resource that we are creating. And it does it for each of the tags. So each value, it does that for it. Now, the last part of the configuration here is a remediation tag. So a remediation tag here simply means that existing resources that are flagged to be non-compliant, in other words, existing resources that do not have tagging on them and they are non-compliant, this block of configuration will make sure that it finds these non-compliant resources and apply the tags onto them, right? The tags that we are going to define. So the two main things is that we will tag new resources that are created. So every resource that is created, whether you create a tag upon creation or not, the policy will be able to create a tag based on our configuration. And also, the second most important thing is that existing resources will also be tagged with the same configuration. So that's what we call it auto tagging. And also remember that we are defining all these tags using Terraform configuration, and this tagging policy is what we call the policy as a code. Without wasting time, I'll take you to the portal and show you one thing under the policy. So while it's loading, I will get back immediately, but let's go here. So let me show you our configuration. So these are our configurations. So let's format it and make sure that everything is in the standard way, Terraform format. Then I have Terraform init. I've already logged into and I've set my subscription ID onto my account. So that's why I'm not repeating that, because I want to keep the video very short and informative because your time is very important. While this is done, let me see if my portal is already loaded. Okay, so my portal is loaded right now. So let me go to policy. So I'll go to Azure Policy. Okay, remediation. So there are no policies to remediate. There are no remediation tab because we are here to deploy our policy. Once we deploy, you will see our policies appearing here and the policies for remediation. And when we go to authoring, right? I don't know why I keep saying authoring, then we'll be able to see our policies in the policy assignment. So after deployment, we will come back here and verify our policy. So let's go ahead and have Terraform apply. I don't want to run plan because this is just for testing, but this is applicable in production environment. Auto tagging, very important. So while this is Terraform is running behind the scene, I'll take you back to quickly whilst it's running, let me show you something here. Now, I told you if you're interested, you could pause. If you've already done that and you've paused and read here, you can skip this part. But then let's look at it. We need tagging for some important things. One of them is it improves automation. How does tagging help that? So automation tools can use tags that are assigned to resources to take actions such as create backups or delete resources or make a call to any event driven flow that you may have on your environment. So that's one way tagging can be used to improve automation. Another thing is that it helps us do resource classification. What it means is that if I have my resources deploy across all environments and I have the environment tag, I can easily tell which resource belong to dev, prod, or QA. So easy for resource classification. We also have ownership resource identification. So you create a tag that helps you identify who owns the resource or which department in your organization owns the resource. And it can also help us for cost categorization. We'll be able to tell the cost, the resources and their cost based on the tag that we go, mostly using the CostCenter key and that of a value assigned to it. So these are some of the importance of auto tagging. The last point is primarily the importance of using policy as code. Policy as code, what are some of the importance? One is easy to version control, which means we can have our policy and then maybe commit it, push it to a Git repo or Azure DevOps or maybe code commit if you're on AWS. Sorry, my throat is just dry. I don't know, but I still want to make this video. Policy as a code can also help for code repeatability and consistency. Yeah, you declare all your rules in a code form for your policy, and you can easily redeploy it repeatedly, and it will give you the same result. So for consistency, so that's some of that. These are some of the benefits of using policy as code. So let's get back to see if our deployment is done. Okay, so there is an error that we need to fix. So with Azure subscription, name cannot contain uppercase. I think this has to do with as a second. Yeah. So yeah, this is also another thing. We're doing some troubleshooting on the fly. Very important. Let me open here. Here. Give me a second. Terraform apply dash auto proof. Yeah, so I just want to fix that error and let's proceed. But before that, let me go back to the error message. So main line 51, I think it's the same thing, main line 51. Okay, so let's go back here in my main. Where's line 51? Okay, this is line 51. Each dot key. Let me go back to, I think it's coming from a var. Subscription, scope, location, tag. Go to, yeah. Okay, let's fix this. So yeah, we are doing some troubleshooting on the fly, and also this is how you can use AIs to speed up your workload. You don't have to spend much time reading through all these ones. You can fix it quickly using your AI. So I'm using Cursor here to fix the error, and here we go. So let's go back and retry the Terraform apply. Okay, so Terraform apply, we'll come back again, but let's go to the portal and let me show you one or two things here. Now, here you can see there are only two existing assignments, right? There are only two existing assignments here. So when we finish deployment, we should see our new policies assignment that will be showing up here. Now let's go to resources. Yeah, so we have these resources already existing. Let me click on this. I want to show you in the event that we create a new resource and check for the tags based on the one that we have. So this resource already have tag, so I just want to delete them. So this is an existing resource, right? We'll come back here. Okay, so this existing resource now have no tag right now. So if I go to this existing resource, go to tags. Oh, why did they come back? Give me a second. Let me delete them one by one. A second. Okay, then let me apply. All right, let me see the progress of our deployment. Okay, so our deployment is ongoing for the policies that we've defined. So let me scroll through. After we fix the error, we have everything. Yeah, so a quick walkthrough. Now we'll be applying a tag called CostCenter, and then the value is fin001. And you can cross-check that from here. CostCenter here, fin001. All right. So that we are seeing that will be applied. Then we have another one for a tag environment, and the environment name is production. Then the last one, a tag owner, and the value is DevOps team. Cross-checking that with our tags on the case study, we are on course. So let's continue. Let's wait for the deployment to be completed, and then we will test our policy to see how it takes effect. While this is ongoing, let me check. Okay, so this seems to be, let me refresh that. Check this resource tags. Oh, interestingly, if you can see, our policy is still deploying, but it has already started tagging this resource. And you can see it has created a CostCenter, it has created the environment, it has created the owner DevOps team. So existing resource, and it has already done that. Let's check the other resource here. Go to tag. Okay, so this is here to take effect. And now let me explain to you what happened. When existing resources not tagged and the policy is applied, it takes 15 to 30 minutes. But immediately you want to make any change on the existing resource, it triggers the policy. So the earlier one is because I was deleting the old tags, it triggers the policy to append the new tags. So for example, let me see if the deployment is 100% done. Okay, the deployment is done. So we can see the deployment is done, 9 resources added, and then these are the tags here showing we are going to enforce this tag. Now on the existing resource, anytime I attempt to make any little change to its tag, the new tags, you can see that immediately I just click on it, all these ones are already showing. These are the ones we define in our policy. Let's say I choose this and its value is that. Now, immediately this is like I'm triggering the policy to apply all the tags. So if you're applying 20 tags, you don't have to go in and start typing them one by one by one. Now you can see that immediately I just try making that all our 3 tags are showing here now. So if I quickly go back, you can even see it right here. The CostCenter is applied, environment is applied, and then the owner is applied. So these are for existing resources. So what happens if you are creating a new resource? So let's create a new resource. So we go back home here. Let's say we want to create a storage account, right? I want to create a storage account. This storage account I'm going to create, I'm going to create it without adding the tags, but I expect my policy, which is deploy, to append the right tag to it. So I'm just calling it just post policy. So that means after the policy has been deployed. Now, this is our tag section. We are not defining the tag, just like we are the developers, and we are going to create. Immediately we finish creating this storage account, the tag should be applied to this storage account. Yeah. So we are creating. Whilst this is creating, let me go back here and show you something. I don't want to refresh that page. That's why I'm logging in a new browser. Okay, loading. I want to go back to the policy. Log in a new tab. Where's policy? Okay. Azure Policy. All right. So let's wait for the policy page to load. But whilst it's loading, let me click on the remediation. Earlier, I showed you that there was no policy here to remediate because we are not deploying our policy yet. Now the policy is done, we should be able to see our policy here and then our remediation tags. Correct. So we have our policy definition and we are using add or replace a tag. What is the assignment? We want to add an owner tag, an environment tag, and a CostCenter tag. We can see it here clearly. Then when we go to remediation, we have the remediations here, 1, 2, 3, 4. The failed one are old ones. You can look at the date here. This was 4th August, but we are recording this video on 7th August from you can see that. So we are talking about the first 3, 1, 2, 3, 7th August. So these are our remediation tags that will help us to auto tag our resources. So back here, our resource has been created. So this was new resource being created after our policy. So we go to the resource, moment of truth. Let's see. This is the resource. And when you come here for this, we don't need to even go to tags here. When you come here under the overview, you can see owner, DevOps team. Then we have environment production and CostCenter, finance or finance fin 001. So this is auto target. We don't have to do anything going forward. Existing resources just need a trigger for the policy. Any change on the resource will trigger the policy. It could be configuration change. It could be somebody just trying a tag just to trigger the policy. You can actually do triggering using that of Azure functions, but that's another thing we can record a video on about this. So yeah, this is auto tagging, very interesting, and at the end of the day, we are able to complete the assignment that was given to the new engineer who should enforce auto tagging. So we are able to automatically apply required tags to new resources. We're able to fix existing resources that are missing tags. We have managed the tagging solution through Terraform. Our configuration is in Terraform. We've ensured the solution has necessary permission to perform remediation. If the permission were wrong, we wouldn't be able to trigger the tagging to apply to the existing resources. So we've achieved this. Great. Thank you for following me through this. Like, follow, comment, share. Let's learn the best DevOps practice. And this is auto tagging using policy as code in Azure. Thank you for coming and thank you for being here. Have a nice day and subscribe for more videos like this. Subscribe for more videos like this. Thank you.